In my most recent video, I explained a very interesting phenomenon that's occurring right now with investors. A lot of people are dumping their Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and flooding into physical silver, which we rarely see. A lot of times, cryptocurrency and precious metals will move together since they're both detached from a centralized fiat-based system. But right now, Bitcoin is crashing and silver is exploding. First, I found this article that was posted today titled, "You Won't Believe Why Gold and Silver Just Crushed Bitcoin. The Truth is Shaking Wall Street." Before we jump into this very interesting article, I would like to say, welcome. Thank you for tuning into your daily silver news. My name is Silver Slayer, and if you want the latest information on what's happening across the globe and how that affects the price of precious metals, more specifically silver, then make sure you click subscribe and click the bell. I'll be doing a silver giveaway very, very soon as a token of my appreciation for everyone that has kindly donated to my GoFundMe that I made as I'm in a custody battle fighting for my daughter. The donation link is still up, the campaign is still alive, but we are closing in on the goal. So if you'd be kind enough to do so, I'd really appreciate it. So a lot of you know that the crypto market crashed as soon as Trump tweeted out on Truth Social about tariffs. People got scared, they panic sold, and they put that money into physical silver. Since silver's already up 71% this year, just broke all-time highs, and it's looking like it's going to go a lot higher. So of course, those crypto investors have the validation and confirmation of silver. And of course, if you're looking to park your money into something else, especially if you're already a little wary of speculation, something detached from the dollar, you're going to go into precious metals. Well, if you're going to choose between gold and silver, silver's definitely looking more appetizing. So this is the death of digital gold. Bitcoin follows NASDAQ off a cliff while real money, gold and silver, skyrocket. Gold and silver are the ancient barometers of trust, their prices rising and falling with human confidence in the financial order itself. When faith in governments and banks diminishes, the flight to tangible value is immediate. Gold glitters, silver surges. Bitcoin, once marketed as digital gold, was born from its same distrust, which I was just mentioning. But in practice, it's become a little more than a speculative shadow of the NASDAQ. See that S word, speculative aspect? Because people are still moving these markets off of fear, uncertainty, doubt, emotions, irrational decision making, investing with their heart instead of their head, that's going to affect something that doesn't have intrinsic value, like Bitcoin, a digit on a screen. Physical gold and silver has intrinsic value, so the speculation aspect of it cannot or will not or should not affect the price as much as something that doesn't really have true value within itself is, like stocks or cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is decentralized, so you could still kind of push that away as a safer alternative, but at the end of the day, Bitcoin is just a number on a screen. So that's really what's going on here, is they're finding the safest of safer alternatives. The safer alternative is not looking as safe as it once did, is what they're mentioning right here. Now, in the same practice, it's become a little more than a speculative shadow of the NASDAQ, responding not to collapsing confidence in the system, but to the same sentiment that drives tech stocks. The contrast between gold and Bitcoin is now absolute. One is real, the other's virtual. One mirrors fear, the other mirrors hype. The true safe havens rise when faith falls. And actually, this reminds me of exactly what happened during the Wall Street silver movement in February of 2021. People make a whole bunch of money off GameStop and AMC. They go to Wall Street bets, right? They make all this money. There's these crypto guys, the Redditors, a lot of them in stocks and a lot of them in crypto. And all of a sudden, they park all their money into silver, the silver squeeze, the original one, shoot silver up, from what it was like $15 all the way up to $30, and then all of a sudden all of these people panic sell when the price pulls back down, which is what I'm a little worrisome if a lot of people right now are jumping on the silver bandwagon at the highest price it's been in 40 years. Once there is a little pullback, these people that are buying right now are probably going to panic sell. So they're buying at a very, very high price and they're going to sell once there's a correction, losing money. The same thing happened back in February of 21 when a lot of those guys from Wall Street Bets or Wall Street Silver bought in at 30 with, all the hype around it, and then when it goes down, they panic sell. True silver stackers know not to do that because we know a correction is just a temporary, it's just a temporary dip. So precious metals have always functioned as antidotes to trust in authority. When fiat systems erode, gold and silver ascend. That moment has arrived again. The United States has entered an era of fiscal absurdity. $37 trillion in national debt and climbing faster than at any point in history, adding about $1 trillion every 5 months. 3 separate credit downgrades have already hit the U.S. Treasury in the last decade, a global embarrassment for the world's so-called safe asset. The knock-on effect is tectonic. For the first time since 1996, foreign central banks now hold more gold than U.S. Treasuries. This is not a coincidence. It is a vote of no confidence in the American fiscal regime. Central banks aren't chasing yield, they're seeking independence from the dollar's political grip. Gold cannot be sanctioned, frozen, or defaulted upon. It is outside the systems, precisely what the world wants, right? Everyone, including Americans ourselves, we don't want our money just burning away in a bank account. That's not even really our money. To take complete control of your wealth is by taking the fiat money out of your bank account and putting it into precious metals, something like gold or silver. Yes, Bitcoin or cryptocurrency was also another alternative, but as people are starting to realize, a digit on a screen cannot compare to something of real value. No matter who says this coin is worth whatever the price tag is, whatever the spot price is irrelevant, because this coin's value is the 1 ounce of silver inside of it. Anything else, its value is just whatever someone says it is. This has intrinsic value. So the dollar as a weapon recoils. And by the way, you would see why other nations and other countries would want to separate itself from the US dollar. They don't want Americans' greedy little fingers in their pockets anymore. They're going to find alternatives, and rightfully so. So the dollar's downfall began the moment Washington weaponized its currency. When Russian assets were seized in 2022, that message echoed through every foreign central bank. The dollar is not neutral. A reserve asset that can be turned into geopolitical tools is no longer reserve, it's a vulnerability. The consequence has been the avalanche of de-dollarization. China, Turkey, Poland alone have bought more than 900 tons of gold this year. Central banks have cut treasury holdings by $48 billion since January, the sharpest drop since 2008 in a unified move away from American debt. This shift is more than symbolic. It marks the end of the Pax Dollarica, the half-century reign of the U.S. as the world's unquestioned financial center. The crossover point in 2025 when gold in official reserves surpassed treasury signals a new monetary world order. So, I've always said, we determine a country's wealth on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they can print off. I've also mentioned that the United States is trying to get ourselves out of debt by replacing it with more debt. It's like trying to pay off a credit card with another credit card, with another credit card. And they were able to pull this off for long enough, but it's caught up. And at the expense of us. Yes, you can make money, right? You can profit in stocks. You can make money trading or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's still fake money, right? And that's why some people say, well, Slayer, if silver does hit 100 or whatever, why would I take fake money, fiat, put it into real money, silver, and then sell the silver back into fake money? Isn't that contradicting? And yes, it is. But still, if you want to pay off your mortgage or whatever, you could do that, but remember what's real money at the end of the day. And that's what a lot of people that are getting into silver still don't understand. They still think money is king. They still don't understand the dollar's true value. And that's going to hurt them at the end of the day. True silver stackers, ones that understand the dollar's true value and understand silver's true value, won't be affected when the price goes down. Actually, will celebrate when the price goes down because we can get it for cheaper. People that don't understand that are gonna fear and panic when the price goes down because they don't have faith in the price moving back up. They don't understand what would push the price back up. So contrast that with Bitcoin, and they're talking about Bitcoin dancing with the Nasdaq. Contrast that with Bitcoin. While gold and silver have surged amid rising distrust, Bitcoin has faltered. In the very week, gold rose 3% and silver jumped 4.4%. Bitcoin fell 5%, moving lockstep with the collapsing Nasdaq. The correlation is unmistakable. At times earlier this year, Bitcoin's 30-day correlation with the Nasdaq 100 reached nearly 70%, erasing any illusion of independence. When risk appetite evaporates, Bitcoin doesn't behave like a hedge. It behaves like a high beta tech stock, and that's the dangerous thing of crypto. Crypto analysts confirm this linkage. Bitcoin's price tends to lag behind Nasdaq downturns and mirrors its recoveries. Even when it decouples, like the brief negative correlation of -4% seen in July of 25, the divergence is short-lived. In essence, Bitcoin remains a plaything for liquidity cycles, not a fortress against them. They're making some very good points. And this is why I used to be very, very heavily into Bitcoin back probably 6 years ago on this channel. If you're a longtime viewer of mine, you've seen this. I used to have a second channel called Crypto Slayer. I used to be very, very focused on Bitcoin, and I used to promote Bitcoin a lot. Actually, I used to mention or referring people to buy Bitcoin when it was $800 back in 2016. And now Bitcoin at $110,000, I'm sure people that listen to me, I've made a lot of people a lot of money. But I stopped talking about Bitcoin and started talking about the roots of where I started, which is silver again. And I'm glad I did that because I started to realize that yes, you can make a lot of money with Bitcoin. Yes, it's detached from a centralized, fiat system, but the whole point of silver stacking is the intrinsic nature of it. And Bitcoin doesn't have that. And I knew eventually that would catch up to it, and it's starting to do so. Yes, you could still make a lot of money with crypto, but silver stacking is really where the wealth lies. Gold and silver is God's money, not Bitcoin. So, the mirage of digital scarcity. Bitcoin's brilliance was its architecture of scarcity. 21 million coins. And that's actually the main reason why I still invest into Bitcoin till this day, is because there's only 21 million Bitcoin created ever, period, in the globe. No more, no less. 21 million. Well, and that's a very small number compared to how popular this global currency is. Once the 21 million are mined off the blockchain, it's gone. Already around 20 million have been mined. There's only 1 million Bitcoin left. Once those last 1 million are mined, it's gone. Everyone that owns it will have complete control. They will be able to set the price because if you want to get Bitcoin, well, if you want it, you can't. There's no more mining Bitcoin. Whoever has it will be able to set the price. That's very interesting. That's kind of like a silver shortage. There's going to be a huge Bitcoin shortage because there's only 1 million Bitcoin left. And, like with Ethereum, there's hundreds of billions of Ethereum. Other coins, there's hundreds of millions, trillions, some of these. Bitcoin, there's only 21 million, and there's only 1 million left. And I understand what's going to happen when those last 1 million are gone and all the Bitcoin is gone. Something that popular, something that global and that popular, I still think Bitcoin has a lot of potential very soon. Because of this specifically, honestly, because there's only 21 million. So scarcity only matters when utility is irreplaceable. Bitcoin fails that test. There are thousands of competing cryptocurrencies, substitutes that do everything Bitcoin does faster and cheaper. Well, that's a good point, but still Bitcoin is Bitcoin. You know, it has the name with it, but that does make sense though. Gold scarcity, on the other hand, is natural, physical, immutable. It can't be coded, cloned, or forked. When the world loses faith in numbers on screens, people return to atoms. That's a good point though. So, you know, gold above 4,000 and silver above 50 are not just price points, they are votes. They represent a rebellion against fiat illusions. That's a really good point as well, right? And that's kind of like what you're seeing with a lot of these bigger investors, like Ray Dalio, Jim Rogers, Warren Buffett, David Bateman, that just bought $1 billion of silver. These people are hedging their bets against a fiat system and saying, look, right now, you guys can do what you want, but I'm parking my money in something that holds its value. Just like yesterday, the tweet that guy, he tweeted, he said, I'm seriously thinking about selling all of my XRP and putting it all into silver. All of his XRP. He was seriously contemplating this. That shows right there, you know, people are starting to wake up to what has value and what is portrayed as value, you know, and that's a big deal, especially since they're not just talking about this with gold, but they're talking about silver. Usually, if you're going to talk about physical gold and silver, they're going to say the value comes from gold. Well, I'm writing a book right now, it's already finished, and the book is called Silver is the New Gold, and it's looking like people are starting to understand why that is. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be doing a giveaway soon, so make sure you subscribe, like the video, go check out the video I made yesterday as well. Anyways, folks, thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.